Hi guys, it's Belle here, and the eagle-eyed amongst you may recognise this. I recently found this in a charity shop, a second-hand shop over here in the UK. It's a photo album, and I'm going to be turning this into a journal. I've never attempted this before, but I thought I would film the process and share it with you guys. So yeah, it's just a little photo album. It's got all this beautiful beadwork on here. Absolutely love it. And this gorgeous fabric. It's got a metallic opening, and then we open it and it's got these in here. Now obviously I'm not going to keep these in here, and it needs a bit of fixing here, but that's not going to be a problem. So when I was thinking what kind of style I would want this to be, I thought Gothic, I thought Victorian, but I think it was last year, again, I'll link the video down below, I purchased this Grand Bazaar pack from, it was in a sale, and it's by Kaisercraft. There's the number, if you can still get hold of it. It was in the sale in a shop here, and I purchased it because I particularly loved the black and the reds in here. So you can see it's got beautiful, I mean, look at that, that's so me. But it's got all these beautiful kind of reds and golds and blues, and it gave me like an Eastern feel, kind of Turkish, Indian, that kind of feel to it. And even these doors, I mean, it really reminds me of some of the imagery of when I went to Istanbul. And it is called the Grand Bazaar. So I think this is going to be a kind of, I don't want to say bohemian because it's not going to be bohemian per se, but it's going to have kind of Middle Eastern vibe. Shall we say that? Possibly my version of what that is, because I really just think some of the colours, the reds and blacks in particular, and then even this yellow here, I feel like that sort of picks up the gold thread. I hope you can see that. It's very dark at the moment. So we're going to use that. So in today's one, we're basically going to take the inside bits out and get some measurements and maybe start putting the signatures together. So I have the scrap papers. I have a whole set of tea dyed papers. I have just a couple, not many, but just a few vintage papers. Look, I've got that one. Doesn't that work so brilliantly? Yeah, that's beautiful. That's vintage. And then I've got a couple of these flower ones that, again, I thought the colours worked well. On this dictionary page, it actually says, if I can find it, actually says the word bazaar. So that works well. And I also just picked up some of this vintage music paper because it's a good size. So let's get started. We're going to take it apart. I've already been ripping some of these out. They're ripping quite easily, and using them. Look, it just rips out. And this has been working really well, this plastic, because it's a nice thickness with some ephemera that I've been using. So I could literally just rip the whole thing out. There's a little bit of white there. Let's move the scrapbook paper, shall we, guys? And the plastic that the scrapbook paper was in. And let's try, and I've got my craft knife. We're going to try and take this apart. I might just have to rip them all out by hand. They rip really well like that, and then deal with it. Okay, don't try and be the Hulk, Belle. Don't try and take too many at once. So all of these plastic bits will get used in other projects. So that is really good. Won't go to waste. As you can see, it's just ripping out really lovely. It's a bit harder with this one because it's right on the edge. And now we should be able to remove this. Oh, just comes off like that. Fantastic. Should be able to remove this easier, because obviously I don't want this. I'm going to be doing a hidden spine because I don't want to try and stitch through. the whole thing's coming off now, which is absolutely perfect because my spine will go there. Let's try and get this off. It doesn't matter if the fabric lifts up a little bit because 1, I'm going to be gluing it, and 2, I need to fix it anyway. So I need to glue this bit down, and then when I put a spine in here, I'm probably going to use a bit of fabric to put a little bit of spine in here. I can glue that there, and then I'll have a piece of card underneath my fabric. I think that's what I'm going to do. Now realistically, I'm going to use a little bit of what I use for my fabric to stick my fabric down with, that glue. Fabri-Tac might work really well with this because this is a fabric, but it's a really heavy duty one. Just going to stick that down there like that. Don't need tons of it because it will stick down anyway. Just under there. We're not going to see any of that, so it doesn't matter. I'm trying to make sure, because this is quite a satiny fabric, I don't want to have any glue on my finger when I'm sticking these down because it will show. I mean, this bit will have a little bit of fabric on it, so it won't matter too much. I don't know what fabric I'm going to use yet for that. This is still basically stuck down except here, so that's good. Hot glue might work. I prefer not to use that just because it can get messy and get everywhere. Right, so I need to make sure my fingers are absolutely clean. And then I'm going to just press down. Now, this is going to need something on it to hold it in place because this is not going to stick straight away. And this fabric's also been standing up for quite a while. So I am going to go and put this under something super, super heavy. I'm talking about not getting glue, and then I did. I'm going to put it under something super heavy so that it sticks, and I will be back. Okay, guys, that's going to be sitting under a huge pile of books, pressing it down for probably a good hour. I want it really to be pressed down. So the pages inside, I'm thinking I'm going to make 4 signatures. There was 4 of these. Sort of, you wanted to call them signatures. They were in sets of 4. So I'm thinking I'm going to be making 4 signatures, and I have already taken some measurements. So if we open it up this way, it's going to be 8.5 inches, 8.5 inches, because it's roughly 4 1/4 inches. This way. I'm hoping you can see. Can you see that on the ruler or not? I don't know, but 4 1/4 inches this way, which makes it 8.5 across, and then up it's about 6.1, literally about 6.1. Now I didn't want it to go all the way to the end of where I didn't want the pages to meet the closure, because I do want to add a little bit of trim. And the trim I will be adding, let me find it, is again the one that I recently picked up in a recent haul, because I just thought the colours are going to work so well. If I stick most of it on, you'll only have a little bit of the fringing poking out, which should mean it should still close really well. So I think we want about 4 pages, roughly 40 dyed pages per signature. I want to do a cardstock outer layer to each signature. This will definitely be one of them. Let's think what other ones. So I want this to be one of them. Oh, I love this. I'm thinking this can be one of them. So we've done those. Let's move this. Oh, love this black one too. Yeah, let's have that as one of them. We've got the blue. The blue might be quite good because it picks up the blue and red there. Oh, this door one's beautiful, but I don't think this is a sticker sheet that comes with it. And then we've got this gorgeous sheet, but I mean, we could have the wooden. Now I think I want the blue because although obviously it's very red, the cover is very red. this blue, if I bring it up, you can see that there's red accents in it. So it's picking up the shapes of here. The blue's picking up the blues that are in this sheet, and the red is picking up this, and they all have the same kind of things. So I think I want to start with the red one. Oh, red against red though. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want to start with the blue one. Or even that. Maybe I want to start with the blue, this one. Maybe I want to start with this one and then go like this. Maybe that's how we want the signatures, the covers to go. What do we think? That'd be first, second, third, fourth. What do we think? Okay, like that. So I need to cut those. I've got all my sheets here and then the pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and cut all those to size. Then we'll return and put them together as the signature. Okay, so I've cut all the signatures to size, all the papers. I've got the scrapbook papers here that we're going to make. I cut down the book pages that I'm going to use, and then cut down all of the other tea stained. And I've got these vintage French book pages that I may put in. So let's get putting the signatures together. So I said this was going to be the first, this is the second, this is the third. So we're going to do them like this. So the first thing is I want to put a vintage book page in each of these. And I'm just going to do this randomly. So I put the two flowers, opposite signatures, and these two. And then we've got the music papers. I'm literally just going to put those in like so. We've got some French book page. I'm going to put this in as a bit of a half page. I'm just going to fold that. This has got writing on it. So I'm hoping they will stitch okay. They may be a little bit fragile, so we'll see how that works. We also may have to trim some of these pages down once they're all in together, because I hate pages that stick out. I've got these different ones too, so they've each got some sort of pattern on them. So again, we're just going to put them in opposite ones, and then I can't remember how many we've got, so we're just going to share them out between the signatures, and then when we put it all together we'll work out if we need to take a few pages away or not. That feels like, I think it's just because it's such thick paper. So these are different weights as well. Ideally with this journal I would have liked them all to be the same kind of weight, but they're not. So I just went with what I had. So let's get making the signature. So let's do, I normally put like all the tea dyed paper together first. Already it's sticking out a bit. I really don't like that. So I feel like I might want this one. Do I want something in the middle? I might do. So we've got 4 things here. Maybe start with the French book page. Then in between these, maybe this beautiful one. Then another page. Then maybe this one. Then another page. Then maybe music. I mean, it's not sticking out too much, so that's good. I would only have to trim it a little bit, which is good, good, good. So we've got some sticky out. For some reason that first one seems to be a bit smaller than the others, so let's swap it for a different page. No, they all seem to be the same. I don't know. There we go. Do it like that. All right, okay. And we have this there. and then that would go in here. You can see it's sticking out just a little bit there. I mean, some of it doesn't matter because we're going to have trim on it, but I don't like ones like that. I will trim that down. So that's the first signature. So let's do that with the next few. Although in this one, I don't want the French book page first because we did that in the last one. So in this one, I might have the music paper first. Then one of these. Then this, which definitely needs a bit of a trim. Then this. Then the French. Then this. I want that in the middle. Why not? Why are some of these? There we go. Oh, and I forgot another page. Thought it was weird that I had one of those in the middle when I shouldn't have. There's that one, and we're going to do exactly the same with this. This has got a lot of writing on this one. I think I want the one that says Bazaar at the front. Like this, and maybe this. So just decide where you want your pages to be, what you want them to, you know, what papers look best where. Put this one further down. And yeah, you can see I go through this quite quickly, so sorry if it's a bit fast, but yeah, I think you get into like a technique of how you put your signatures together. It's nice to change it up sometimes, obviously. What one did that one have first? Did it have the music paper? I had that. Let's do music paper. And then, yeah, you tend to have a way you do your signatures. I like to put things in between if I've got enough book pages and that to do that kind of thing with. I don't always, but it just gives a little interest between the tea dyed papers. That's going to go in there. So we now have our 4 signatures, which you can see, and they are going to pop into here like so. And now what we're going to do, before I do any more in the signatures, so I'm going to do a hidden binding. So this is glued down now. Some of it's still stuck up, but it's quite thick material. So I have cut out just a piece of card. I think this was just from the back of one of those envelopes. Just making sure that it fits. It does. So I've cut out a piece of this because this is going to go here. This was 2 inches by 6.5, I believe. So I'll show you the thickness. It's not like overtly thick, but it's thick enough. And then I chose some fabric. Now I chose this because there's blue in the signatures. I thought it would be nice to pick up some of that blue. And this is going to go on top. So I'm just going to trim the fabric. So I'm going to put this on top of it. I think I want this darker bit up here. So, I mean, it's not straight, but that's okay. I like to have a little bit hanging over the edge either side too, which you can fray. It's just something I like. So we've got that. And then I think I'm going to just try and trim this a little bit, or do this side. I might do this side. I don't know, because this is not straight. So I'm going to just trim that. And it's still not straight. Well done, Belle. I could always get my rotary cutter out. That would have worked better. There we go. And so I'm putting this in the middle, and obviously I need to leave a bit either side so that it glues onto here. So like so. And again, it would really help if it was straighter. So I'm going to try it this way. I'm trying to line it up with the lines on my mats, but it's not like the straightest thing in the world. Maybe it just doesn't like ripping straight. That's still at a slight angle, but is it going to bother me? I have a feeling it is going to bother me. So I'm going to trim it a little bit. I mean, it's going to be inside the journal and it's going to be frayed. So why I'm being so pernickety about it, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to try and fray some of this top and bottom. It frays better at the top and bottom than it does on the side. I'm trying to pull a few threads at least. Okay. I don't want them looking like that though. That just looks messy. And sometimes I like messy, but not so much in this journal. That's not the look I'm going for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure on the back of here. And I've already worked out, I haven't worked out where I put my ruler, which would really help, wouldn't it? Where are you, ruler? Where are you? Oh no. Ah, there we go. So I've already worked out where I'm going to mark it up. So I'm going to do 1/2 inch either side. This is really hard because it's shiny. 1/2 inch is that square, so let's line that up there. That'll be easier for me. And up there, and then here, and then in the middle I'm going to do, what did I say I was going to do, like 1 inch? Yes, I think I did. Or like, right, this is 1/4 inch and these are 1/2 inch. Get the measurements right, Belle. Oh, maths. I really am not very good at maths. I do not like it. I do not like it at all. And I'm just going to draw lines down there. It's the one subject at school that I really, why is that not straight? Dislike, like struggled with. I really struggled with maths. Me and numbers, not good friends. So, which is the opposite to my partner, who is like a human computer with mathematics and loves numbers. And thankfully, our children all seem to have got the best of both worlds with us. So we're going to be putting them in here. I know they don't line up, but this is what I say all the time. When you're filling, I like to leave 1/2 inch. So there'd be 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch there for that signature. Then 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch there for the first signature. Then 1/4 inch either side for this signature. Then 1/4 inch here, and then this. So actually, it all works out, even though you're probably looking at it thinking, we don't understand why it's like that. And then I've also cut a piece of paper because we're going to need that. I'm going to fold this in half because I only need one set of holes for this. And fold in half. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this in half again so that I get a hole right in the center. And then I like to go up about 1 inch-ish either side. You can see I'm not measuring very much here. I'm sorry if you're one of those people who like measurements. Sometimes I will give them, but if I can avoid it, I will avoid it, because as I said, I do not like, I'm just getting a book. Hold on, guys. I do not like measurements. Okay, so let's put this way. I'm going to put a hole here and a hole here. So I'm just using 3 holes for this and a hole here. And now I'm going to attach that. Although saying that, now I've done it, I'm thinking, hold up, how do I know where they are? I'm going to have to measure, aren't I, guys? Hold on, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so what I did instead of measuring, because why make my life easy, is I decided to line up the crease here with one of my lines, attach it, line it up down here with the other line so that it was nice and straight, and then just moved that up. Then you can put the holes in straight through, and you can see there they've lined up. Woohoo! So that made my life a lot easier, although they're not completely on the line on the top one, but I think that's because my lines are slightly wonky. I'm telling you, me and maths and drawing straight lines. Come on, guys. How many of us crafters can't draw a straight line or cut a straight line? I mean, what's with that? I always think we just like to make our lives less easy. So let's do that again. And here. And move it up. This is not the way to do it. Measure. You would ideally draw the lines on here, then just attach it onto your board. But again, if you forget to do that, then there are ways to improvise. And if I can get away with not using numbers and not drawing a line, then it works for me. So... oh dear, 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 dear. There are much more professional YouTubers out there, crafters. That one seems a bit far down. That one seems a bit far down. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to glue my fabric onto the back of here. Let's get the glue out and make sure there's enough of it. So this is going to be the side that glues the fabric's actually glued onto. If I can get the fabric glue out. Come on. Telling you, I feel like this is going to be one of those days, right? This just doesn't want to work for me. So, hold on again, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I just got a brand new glue because I don't have time to wait for that one to come all the way down. That would just be annoying for you and for me. So brand new glue, sticking it all on here. And you have 2 ways of doing this. You can use a brush, but I'm just going to use my finger. I'm going to spread the glue out to make sure that it's not got any lines on it, because that can come through your fabric if the glue seeps through, and we don't want that. That's not the look we're going for. And then I'm going to glue my fabric, making sure, let's turn it over, that I've got it on the side that I want it to be, and that it's roughly in the middle of the piece of fabric, because obviously the spine's going in the middle and then you're having a bit either side of that to stick on. And now I'm really rubbing that down, making sure it's in all the different corners really well. And now I'm gonna go through the fabric with my awl. Make sure that's stuck through, because obviously the needles are going to go through the other way when we are sewing in our signatures. And again, realistically, you could glue the fabric on first and then you're not having to make the holes twice. But again, why make life easy for myself? So yeah, so I'm going to leave this to dry and we're going to go back to working on the signatures, just making sure the way that we want them to be. And I'm going to trim off any of the excess and edges and maybe add some more paper to them. So what I mean by that is, obviously I have some of these scraps. These are going to make pockets, but I have some of these and I'm wondering if we want to add some more scrapbook paper in them, because obviously these are the main covers and it might be nice to just add a bit of these in each one, maybe in the middle signature or something. Right in the middle here might be nice to add a piece of scrapbook paper, a bit smaller, or add it somewhere else, like a little piece. So yeah, I was wondering if we want to do that, because obviously you can, or I might just add pockets and not add all of these, but I'm thinking I want one in the middle. So I'm gonna have to cut these down, so let me get my paper trimmer. Gosh, I said that a bit loudly, didn't I? Let me get my paper trimmer. Obviously these are 6. I'm thinking maybe at 5 because I want it a bit smaller, and I'll use that strip for something. Let's just cut all of them at 5 for now. I do have other papers that would have worked in here as well, but let's just use these because it's what the kit is. Okay. So that's those, and I'm thinking let's fold them in the middle and then maybe make pockets or something on them. And wouldn't you know it, I've lost my measurements of how big these are, so let's just measure it on here. 4 1/4 roughly. So I'm just going to measure it down here and do it at about 4. Which is about there. So let's just fold that back. Bone trimmer. Bone folder rather. Bone trimmer. It's because I was thinking of paper trimmer. Fold that one back. And I've gone for 4 rather than 4 1/4 because if I am going to trim some of the papers off, I don't want this to be like, if it went in the middle, I don't want to have to trim that off when I trim the extra papers off. And you know what? I quite like it like that. I wouldn't normally put a pocket like that, but right now I quite like it like that. And I'm going to just do a little thumb notch. Why is that not working? Why won't you cut for me? There we go. And let's do it on the bottom on this side. You don't have to. You don't have to put a thumb notch. You don't have to do it on opposite sides. I like it, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put that one probably in the red one, to be honest. So I'm going to put that right in the middle. And then in the blue, let's possibly put the black. Again, I'm going to fold it in the middle. Really fold it down the side. I'm going to mark it at about 4-ish. I'm just using my nail. There are other ways you can use this. There are other ways you can do it. You could use a scoreboard. That's nice. So that's going in there. Again, I really like this. So I think I'm going to have that on the outside. So one on the outside. Let's make sure it's straight first. Why is that not straight? There we go. One on the outside, one on the inside, like that, because I like that doily design. Let's put a notch in the middle of this one. Much smaller notch. And let's put a notch in the middle of the doily, because I kind of like that, or middle-ish. Right, so that can't go in the black. Oh, the blue one we were going to do. That's right. So like that. Now's the black. So we've got these two left. I might use the red in this one because, you know, yeah, there we go. And again, let's mark it at 4. This one, I'm going to do them both on the inside. Like so. Let's mark these down. Not quite the same. There we go. So like so. I'm trying to work out if I want to put a thumb notch. I'm going to bring them together so that the thumb notch, if I cut through both pieces, is in the same place. There we go. So now it matches up either side, because otherwise it would bug me. I mean, not always. Sometimes I do them separately in different opposite ends, but I don't know. Today, for some reason, I thought it was going to bug me. So who knows? Right. So I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the wood in there. So I'm feeling like I want to do another one of those, but then again, maybe I'll do one in, one out like I did on the other one. So how about that? And then these will be in the middle of our signatures. Da, 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 da. And then we're going to come back and we're going to stitch these in. I'll do that on the back. I'm sorry if you can hear music. My neighbours are playing piano again. Okay, so that's going to go like that, and that's going to pop in the middle. Okay, guys, so I've trimmed them all down, and I also stuck the pockets together on these. So anyway, let's get on with the stitching. Now, normally I would use my normal binding wax thread, but I'm just going to use embroidery floss in this. They're not that thick, and I just think the other thread would be too thick. It wouldn't look right. So I've just got some of my black embroidery floss. I'm going to use all 6 of the skeins of thread. If you know, you know. And normally you would do 3 times the size, but this is just a long length, and I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to use it as is. I've got my needle. Try not to stab myself. Put these through. Okay. And now I'm going to make sure this is all together, pushed together. You can use bulldog clips, you can like this, you can use other kind of clips. I'm just using this. I'm making sure everything's where I want it to be first. Double check that because it's easier because these are thinner. I've got to put this on here. Let's write top and bottom. Let's just double check that these are in the right place for top and bottom. Okay, so this is the top. I'm going to put that in the middle. I can see that there's a little bit either side, so I'm going to put a little line here. So when I put it in the other journals, it lines up in the other journals. Use my awl. Go through the middle. I'm only going to show you this once on here. One, because I hate stitching in signatures and especially on camera. And two, I don't want this video to be ridiculously long. So yeah, so I've gone through there. So we've got our holes now. Got our needle and thread. Got this. I think that's the top. So I'm going to write top on here too. Let's just make sure again. Yep. And now we're going to stitch in the first signature. I go through the middle, pull the thread through. This is going to have a long thread, but I'm thinking about putting beads on the end of these. That's the only problem with having it exceedingly long. Like, I'm going to put it through the middle one here. Let's move everything out of the way because the thread's going to get caught up. If you don't have embroidery floss, I mean, embroidery floss is quite cheap to get hold of, especially if it's not a name brand one. Go through the top. You could use the wax linen threads if you use that already to bind in your book journals. So yeah, I just thought I'd do this. Go through the middle one again, if you can see that. Try not to get hold of the floss on the other side. Like, don't put your needle through the other piece. Like, if you put it through the floss there, you know, it can become difficult. But if you do that, just pull it out and go through again. Hold up, that's the top. Yeah, I've gone through both. It's because that's that way. And now we've gone through, back through the middle, and I'm going to go through the bottom hole. Like so. Sorry if I'm moving it around a lot. It's just easier to do because I can't see it very well from filming. So yeah, and now I'm just going to tighten this. Make sure it's nice and tight, guys, and not moving about, but don't pull it so hard that you rip your papers. I'm going to go under and then through again and under with the bottom thread that was left hanging, so that they're both under. Pull again and then tie. I really need to make sure these are nice and tight. Making sure they're nice and tight. Really pull. Do a nice knot. And do another nice knot. And I will tie a bow. But for now, you can see that is sewn in. I'm going to do the other three and then come back. Okay, so I'm just finishing the last signature now. And I realised I said about the skeins, if you know, you know, which now thinking about it, I should explain. So it's basically saying that when you buy embroidery floss or another floss, there are 6 different threads together when you cut a piece. So all these come apart. And if you do things like cross stitch or embroidery and things like that, I mean, I cross stitch, I don't embroider, they basically tell you on different projects to use to cross stitch over 2 threads or 3 threads. So you would be taking these apart and taking just 2 or 3 of them. So what I meant was you just leave it as is, you chop it off the skein and use it as is. Rather than, you know, 2 or 3 or anything like that. So these are now all in. You can see we've got our signatures, and then I'm just going to go through. So the good thing to do is to go through. They normally find this side, but when you get to the other side, it's good to press down to make sure everything's in its place and that you've got every page, because I'm not kidding you, there's been some times when I have stitched in a signature and then I've gone, hold up, one of the pages somehow escaped getting under the needle and thread. And how does that happen? But it does. So yeah, I just like to press them down. Makes it easier. Like I said, this side, the left side, tends to be all right, but it's the right side, because that's the side you're turning over the middle, that is tends to just need a nice little pressing down. And then we're going to glue this into our journal, which is quite exciting, because once it's glued in there, that's what then makes a photo album, or what was a photo album suddenly be a journal. It's quite exciting. So yeah, just pressing these down, giving them a good press, you know. Yeah, okay, like so. So now I'm keeping these are a bit long, so I'm gonna just chop a little bit off, not too much, because I don't know how long I want the dangles and how many beads I want to put on and all that kind of thing. So now we're going to glue this, and we're going to glue it into the journal. So again, use a really good strong glue for this. I'm going to glue this bit first, because that's the bit, oh come on, you're a brand new glue. And I'm gluing around the holes and the threads just to really give that security. Really glue, 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 glue. That sounded like a song that I won't go into because that would be copyright. So yeah, like so. Good glue. You want a lot of glue on there because it's going to be sticking into the book. And again, I'm just smushing it and smushing it. Is that a technical term? And the thing about this is, obviously, you're not going to see this like you would through the fabric, but it also means you can get it into all those corners, so you can make sure every corner and edge, and I can make sure I get it over all the threads. So that's that. Then before you glue it in, make sure you do have it the right way up. Again, it's good to have the top on there. And then, oh, this is the moment. Now I need to make sure it's right in the middle, like of the spine. Best way of doing that is to close it up a little bit, so I know that the cardboard is in the middle. Yes, it is. Oh, it's come up, come up, come up. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to need a lot longer to glue down than my usual ones, just because of the fabric that it's gluing onto. Pressing down, really pressing down. Making sure that's in. Really holding and pressing it till the glue takes. And then what I like to do is to get my bone folder and just to go through between the signatures and press down. I mean, you can use your finger obviously, but it will depend on how big a gap. This gap's big enough that I can use my finger to press that, which is good. This one, and just really press down. Yeah. Okay, good. And then here. And again, I want to make sure this closes up. Oh, it's got my needle attached to it. I want to make sure it closes up, which it does. That just sticks out. I like it sticking out like that. Not everyone does, but it's kind of how I like mine to be. And then I'm going to glue this fabric. Now, I'm going to glue it onto, not onto the fabric itself. I'm going to glue it onto the actual base of the journal, because again, we want to smush it. Smush. Just kind of measuring out where the fabric is. I want to flatten that out again so that there's no lines going through the fabric. And I can always add more glue. So it's always good to put less, over, because you can add more, but you can't take glue away. And then just press that down, because that is the fold between, see, it's the fold where the two sides meet. So I'm pressing my bone folder between those, pressing the fabric. Yep. Let's pull that. Oh no, I've got a little bit on there. Okay. Really pressing that down. Now we're going to go to the other side, but I'm going to turn it because it's easier for me to see like that. And I am going to put the glue on again. I'm kind of looking at where the fabric comes to on the back piece. So I'm measuring it like that, although that looks like it might be too much over. And then using my finger to smush again. Okay. And now in the middle. Yeah, that's slightly too much over. Thankfully, that's the bottom, isn't it? Yes, so I can put a pocket over that. And smush. Really pressing that bit in again, because that one's going to fold up. So you want to make sure it's pressed in and glued down. Now, again, it's caught my needle because it's magnetic. So it just keeps catching my needle. And now, look, guys, it's got the signatures. It's a baby journal. Baby because not finished yet. So, and I'm going to leave it to dry like this, because I find that the easiest way to leave it to dry, because then I know it goes flat. And we're going to leave it there, guys. We're going to leave it here. We've pulled the middle of the album out. We have created the signatures and glued them in, and created the signatures, put them together, stitched them into the journal, and then glued that spine down. So when we return, we're going to be doing some pockets and maybe some bead dangles on here. That's it for now, guys. Hope this was okay. It was over a few days. I had to keep stopping and starting for a few things, and had to stop when my neighbours were playing the piano, because I didn't want it to be copywriting things because it was quite loud. So I hope this is okay. And I will be back soon with the second episode in this, where we make the pockets. I'll see you then, guys. Bye for now. Hope wherever you are in the world, you're having lots and lots of crafty fun. Bye, guys.